Hey everybody, kind of been a while since I've done at least a video here. I know it's been maybe a month, I believe. You know, sometimes I gotta take some time off a little bit. But getting down here to the very last Bob Dylan album, and of course that is Rough and Rowdy Ways. And after that I'll be talking about the live albums. Yeah, I'll probably start with, probably go from what was that album? Before the Flood, I believe, to I think to the Another Side of Bob. Some of the other live albums I may have missed, because I know from there it's, you know, from Before the Flood all the way to MTV Unplugged. Now, of course, I'm not going to be talking about Shadow Kingdom. So whatever other live albums after MTV Unplugged, I'll probably discuss here. Whatever, I'll do a separate video. So what I got here to kind of, before I do Rough and Rowdy Ways, is do a 20-track favorite crucial Dylan songs that I absolutely enjoy, that I absolutely will be my 20 favorite songs, period. Excuse me, from Bob Dylan. Because these are definitely the songs that I love and that I cherish, and, you know, that I think are the really best. Now, I know a lot of people may be opinionated, right? Or, you know, or, you know, everybody has their own list of, you know, especially with Bob Dylan. Of course, everyone's got a specific list that have specific Dylan songs, and with this 20 list, this is like the best that you'll get, basically. You know, I mean, it's got basically the ones that I'm pretty sure everybody, you know, may have on their list, of course, you know. And then, of course, there's some that may not have, you know, some of this, you know, some Dylan songs that, you know, perhaps maybe not, are, you know, that are not necessarily on top tier list of Dylan songs, you know. So I came up with this kind of, not on the fly, but at least as kind of listening back and listening to, you know, listening to pretty much all the way back to the debut, all the way to Tempest. So we're going from 62 all the way to 2012. So that's almost, what are we talking there? Almost 50 years, kind of, you know. Yeah, because 62, 2012, yeah, that would have been 50 years, basically, you know. So, you know, enough of me talking here. Let's go ahead and do this, you know. So yeah, 20 songs wasn't really that hard, you know. I try to really carefully listen to a lot. Well, you know, I mean, I kind of go skip ahead of tracks or whatever, and really see which one is the best that goes on the list. So I'm going to go from order, and we'll go from, like I said, the debut all the way to Tempest. And of course, this will lead up to my review, which I might maybe do hopefully next week or so, whatever, is Rough and Rowdy Ways. So here we go. We're going to start with the debut. And I chose the very last, well, no, it's not the last, but at least it's the song on side 2, which I believe is the second song on side 2, is Baby Let Me Follow You Down. That song is absolutely gorgeous, and of course I love his vocals too as well. And this was, of course, Dylan actually wrote this himself, and wow, what a great early Dylan composition, I think, in my opinion. And then from there is Freewheelin' from, you know, 63, and of course this is the obvious, Blowin' in the Wind. I'm pretty sure this is everybody has to, of course, everyone has to probably have this in some fashion. Of course, this song included on a Bob Dylan list of, you know, to whatever it is, you know, favorite Dylan songs, right, you know. And it's so, like, it's just such a very well written song, I believe, you know, and it's so, you can clearly understand what the narrator's saying, and how he feels, about the world, and also, about the war, and, about anything basically, And then after that is the gloomy, or the, what do you call it, the gloomy and somewhat rebellious of The Times They Are Changin'. And of course I chose One Too Many Mornings. I love that song. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's just, what a song. I mean, how can anybody with a mind like him write such a powerful song like that? It's really great. Nothing from Another Side. So I know I feel kind of bad for myself. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Okay, bringing it all back home from 65, I chose the opening track, Subterranean Homesick Blues. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Johnny's in the basement. He's making up the medicine. Don't worry, I'm on the pavement thinking about the government. And of course that great music video, right, of him with all the signs, Of course that's been parodied so much of the years, And okay, everyone loves this, and of course, who doesn't love this album, Highway 61? And it's the opening track, Like a Rolling Stone. With that great popping snare, it just goes into this journey of 6 minutes of just pure blues, pure great amazement. I think, in my opinion, Tom Wilson, man, what a producer he was. He really took Dylan into so much of a, he kind of entered in a new, at least a new, style, or at least another side, if you will, of Dylan going electric, but of course everybody didn't know at the time, but and then after that I chose actually an outtake from Highway 61. I don't know if it was from Highway, it may have been Bring It All Back Home, and it's Farewell Angelina, which I think is a really, really just outstanding. I mean, that should have been the ending song. And I believe it was Bring It All Back Home. Yeah, it was an outtake from Bring It All Back Home. And that is just a song where Dylan just says, hey, I know you seem to really, really see me as someone who is open here, and is giving my opinions on how I feel, but I really, 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 this is just, I'm not trying to be some sort of important figure, or some sort of, I'm not trying to be a captain or a leader or whatever. I'm just here just to make songs, and be, topical, but not to the extent of being too much to the extent of being political, I guess, or maybe being too much, like, this is what we got to do. We're going to war, but, I don't think Dylan never intended to make songs about, war or whatever, and I think of any of his music, but yeah, Farewell Angelina is a beautiful song, of course, and of course that was on the bootleg, I think it was the volume 2 of the first 3 volumes from 91. Okay, and then of course the double album, Blonde on Blonde. Definitely my top favorite, if not probably up there as my favorite double album from any artist, I think. And it's Just Like a Woman. God, it's just a beautiful song, and his live version, all of his live versions, well, except for maybe the Rolling Thunder, he kind of takes a little bit too further, but of course the great performances he did. I think Before the Flood he did a great live version. I think Hard Rain during that time there, but we're talking like maybe the late 70s, early 80s. Some of he's starting to apply a little bit too much of that reggae stuff, how he kind of went through, during that period, Then I got, well, actually nothing from Wesley Harding, so I know. So we go right into Nashville Skyline. Of course, the smiling period there. And I chose Lay Lady Lay. I know this is kind of like one of those essential Dylan, everybody has to have it on their list and have it on a best of or whatever, It's crucial, like how my video is titled, if you will. And it's just, it really is like, it kind of goes through another phase of Dylan, basically, where he's kind of doing the crooner country thing, with Kenny Buttrey on the drums, and really, really great stuff. And I like Lay Lady Lay. So nothing from this one. I know, nothing made it there. Nothing on these albums. But in '71, Dylan wrote, and he performed it, I believe, at the George Harrison had his, from the Bangladesh, it was the live album or whatever. And I think he performed it with George Harrison, and of course the band covered it on Cahoots, which I think came out in 70s, or 71, 72. And it's When I Paint My Masterpiece, which of course Leon Russell as well was in the Bangladesh concert. What a great song. This is definitely great. I love the smoothness to it. It just has that early 70s, just the really comforting, this definitely has that early 70s comfort, you know what I mean? With, the great instrumentation. And of course, they got Leon Russell, are you kidding me? A great songwriter at his, piano songwriter, but just great song. I love When I Paint My Masterpiece. Then we get to Planet Waves, and I chose one song. I'm pretty sure maybe some people may feel a little sour on, and that is Tough Mama. I know, right? But I love that song. It's so good. And you got the band. The band just ultimately just it ultimately gives another life to what Dylan's with the to the album, basically. It just gives it another, you know what I mean? It just gives them another, it gives it another presentation, basically, And I do love Forever Young, but Tough Mama, I love Tough Mama. Okay, and then of course, The Almighty, which is probably my favorite Dylan album, is Blood on the Tracks, and of course, Tangled Up in Blue. God, man. Yeah. I was talking about the girl with the red hair and all that, Early One Morning. Oh, yeah. I love that opening. Just that opening chord there that Dylan plays in that song. And then I also have as well is Idiot Wind, which is probably, I think one of the most serious and almost really personal songs I think he had ever really written in his lifetime. Or in his life generally. He just really, he really just is very angry. Like Dylan can be, he can get angry, but he is at full force. So yeah, that's not number 12. So sadly, nothing from Desire. I know some good stuff on Desire, but it's not really, not really something there that I chose. But I chose something from Street Legal. I know some people seem to really be negative on the album, on this album at least. And I chose Changing of the Guards. It's like, what a great opening song. I know the album is kind of like, it's not, what I gotta say is it's not the best Dylan album, but Changing of the Guards, I feel like without that song, of course the album would feel a little, a little less kind of, a little less impactful, whatever, at least, have some sort of, at least some sort of, really good song, you know what I mean? Because I do kind of like some of the tracks, but some of them are just, you know what I mean? Like he's implying a lot of the horns and stuff and a little bit too much of the Gino Vanelli kind of thing, But I think Changing of the Guards, it's definitely like way out of that league, like way out of that sort of realm. It's in its own just Dylan, you know what I mean? Yeah, Changing of the Guards. Nothing from Slow Train, but I do have something from Saved. Now, I know this album gets kind of bashed. Well, not bashed, but some people don't seem to like it, And that is What Can I Do For You? Because I remember just that first time I ever heard that song, I'm like, wow, this is something really, really good with those background vocals with, what's her name? Carolyn Dennis that, Bob Dylan was, I think he got engaged with, right? Or something like that, and then they got an affair or whatever, But she was such a great addition to Bob Dylan's, the personnel on the album, and you had Fred Tackett, just great stuff, man. What Can I Do For You? Wow. And then after that, I mean, nothing from Infidels. I know I was about to put maybe Sweetheart Like You on the list, but you know what I mean? It's not something that is crucial. These songs are crucial. And I don't think, from that album, really nothing, definitely nothing from Empire or Knocked Out Loaded or Down in the Groove. But did choose one song from Oh Mercy. And almost just a hair second. The Man with the Long Black Coat. And most of the time. But I did choose the opening track, which I think is, in my opinion, one of the. I'm gonna have to maybe do a list of top favorite Bob Dylan opening tracks, and this is one of them. Political World. Yeah, it's just what a drive. Like I like the drive, and I like, you know what I mean, just what Dylan is speaking to. You know what I mean, just speaking to just the horrendousy of the human nature, and that's how we are, kind of what he's trying to explain. But yeah, we live in a political world. Yeah. And then skipping through some albums here. I know Under the Red Sky, and I guess so in those folk albums. I didn't choose nothing from them. But who cannot deny Time Out of Mind? A great album that is, and I chose Not Dark Yet, which is a really, really, really great song. And I love how he says, not dark yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, he's almost seeking his, he's almost like telling himself that, it's almost time for me to let this go, kind of, let this kind of all kind of, just be done with, So in 2001, we get, of course, Love and Theft. Now, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, that was pretty close to be close on my crucial list here, but I chose Mississippi. Yeah, stayed in Mississippi a day too long with that really good drive. And, kind of a drive, but a little bit ballady too, in a way, And of course, that is definitely if not an essential Dylan song. And then, of course, we get 2006 as 5 years after Love and Theft, Modern Times. Of course, that's one of my favorites, or at least one of my favorite later Dylan albums. And I chose Spirit on the Water. Really, really, you know what I mean? It just has like this interesting groove, bluesy groove, you know. I like the way the guitars are playing and the shuffling beat. Like I really like the, you know what I mean, at least the trilogy of Dylan's comeback was that he almost had another kind of different style of groove, you know, where he had you know, a whole new set of session players, and of course that would be, of course, with him during the whole Never Ending tour, you know. But really great, you know. Pew, 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 pew. Spirit on the water. Da, da. I love it. So that's 18. So we got two more then, 19 and 20. And of course, it's not coming from any of these albums. 2009, of course, nothing from Together Through Life. Although I do love Beyond Here Lies Nothing. I mean, that song is great. And I feel like it kind of reminds me a little bit of Street Legal, where without that opening song, I feel like the album would just be kind of just bland. Or at least, not bland, but it wouldn't be the same, you know. So I feel like the same exact way with Together Through Life. Of course, nothing from the Christmas in the Heart. And of course, you know, nothing from the Crooner albums. But two songs coming from Tempest. And of course, you know what they are. Maybe not, I don't know. The opening track, Duquesne Whistle. I love it. It's just another driving song with the stupid video, with the stupid, you know, guy. You know, the guy is, you know, he got what you call, you know, he gets pulled in by these gangster guys or whatever, and this guy's like tangled in the chair or whatever. If you know what I mean, you know, with the music video, the guy getting pepper sprayed and all. Yeah, it's kind of frivolous, the video, but the song itself, I just love the drive. It's just another great drive. And then, of course, my 20th Dylan crucial song, that is the one song that seems to wrap things up from his 50-year career, basically, is Scarlet Town. I mean, just with I almost like the almost remorse sound, you know, it just seems, he almost seems weathered, you know. And it is a really, really great song, I think, in my opinion, from his definitely his latter years, just before Rough and Rowdy Ways. And you know what, I think if I had to fit maybe one more song, or at least a bonus track or whatever, would definitely be from Rough and Rowdy Ways. Now, I know I'm going to be covering that album soon, and I think, in my opinion, I believe Key West would be right there, either that or Murder Must Foul or whatever, you know, or I Contain Multitudes. Definitely has the bonus on the, you know, if it's a, you know, a vinyl or whatever, a CD greatest hits kind of thing. Not bad. I don't want to say greatest hits, you know, just crucial and just generally important songs from Dylan's just from his whole musical career, basically, you know, to round it out, to kind of, you know, see the whole picture, basically, you know, from basically Baby Let Me Fall You Down from 62 all the way to 2020 with, you know, from either one of those songs from, you know, Rough and Rowdy Ways. But, you know, folks, let me know. It'll be interesting to see what maybe some of your lists may be, you know, and maybe we can talk about it, you know. But anyways, that's it, folks. I know I've been kind of yapping here a little bit too long. But anyways, 20 songs, of course, that are important to me, I think, in Dylan's musical catalog. Okay, folks, take care. Bye-bye.